Old buildings and houses sometimes can hide mysterious and forgotten links to the past. Rooms left untouched, abandoned treasures, or perhaps something far more sinister. So get comfortable and let the darkness take control. Number 1. I was working at an 100-year-old abandoned farmhouse several years ago. My co-worker and I were told to find the well for the house, since they were thinking about developing the property. After looking for a while, we figured it might be in the old house. I grabbed my flashlight and we headed in through a window that wasn't boarded up very well. The place was creepy. The second floor had a burnt goat carcass and pentagrams drawn in ash all over the walls. So that started the chills and goosebumps. We eventually made our way to the basement, where I almost fell into the very deep well at the end of the steps. I'm not sure how deep it was, but our 25-inch tape wouldn't hit the bottom. Anyway, my curiosity was still running wild, so we went searching around the basement. My co-worker noticed that one of the stone walls didn't make it all the way up to the ceiling, and it was probably a fake wall. Good call on his part. He boosted me over the wall, and I helped him climb over. The first room was empty and had nothing exciting, just dark, wet, and cold. Looking around, there was another wall with an opening. I decided to go first, and I was boosted over the wall. My co-worker thought it would be funny to hang onto the flashlight for a while whilst I stumbled in the dark. Finally, he tossed it over to me, and that's when I began freaking out. The room had chains built into the walls, with wrists and ankle shackles. The walls had scratch marks from nails, and I'm guessing that someone tried to escape. I lasted about 30 seconds in that room before I started to dash over both walls and the well right out of the window we climbed through to get into that creepy house. I don't think it was just the shackles or the scratch marks that creeped me out, but the ice-cold chills that shot down my spine, like there was something truly evil lurking in that place. Number 2. I met a college girl that I was living with in a defunct fraternity house. They had lost their charter for reasons I didn't first know. We fell for each other, and I moved in with her. It was a great apartment complex with pool tables and giant showers. One night when we were drunk, she took me to a room that was empty. It had 2 bunk beds, and above one bed was a secret door. It led to an upstairs room where most of the hazing took place. The story goes that one night during a party, in the dead of winter, a girl was raped by some frat boys. They just left her up there in the cold, and she ended up dying from freezing to death. One of the frat boys was so distraught by the incident that he went up there one day and painted her picture on the wall, then hung himself from the rafters. Whilst we were up there, I could swear that the eyes on the picture would follow you around the room, and there were reports of crying coming from up there some nights. I never went up there again. Number 3. I went to a high school that was built maybe 200 to 300 years ago. Me and my friends noticed these hatches that were about 6 feet off the floor next to the toilets. For context, the school was based around a quad, so there was a toilet down some stairs at each corner of the quad. Obviously we had to check these hatches out, so we did it during a drama lesson that we snuck out of. We got in there, and there was a corridor under the actual corridor, which was only about 5 to 4 feet tall, so we had to crawl through it. The corridor connected all the toilets, and there were vents on the top of the walls that were the skirting board level in the classroom, so we could watch lessons going on, which was pretty cool. There were tons of pipes and electrical wires, and other non-interesting shit you would expect, apart from in one corner of the quad though. The hatch for this one was locked from the inside. It looked like the pipes had all gone back into the wall, or stopped so that the wall was bare concrete slab, rather than bricks, which was odd. There was a small gap at the bottom of the wall that I could only just fit through. It was a struggle crawling under as we had our mobiles for torches, and I'm not the smallest of people. When we got through, it felt so much colder in this opening than it did in the corridor. The space was also much more spacious, and we could actually stand up. And also, the lights from our torches didn't light up the opposite side of the room. When we shone them over there, it was as if they weren't even turned on. The room smelled really bad, and I saw what looked like a decomposed cat, which was now just mostly bone and fur, at the side next to the wall closest to us. Freakier still though, there was a stone arch above where the cat was, with some red writing that I think was blood. It was a few years ago, but I vaguely remember it saying something along the lines of, "If you are found here, the school will expel you, but Lucifer shall do much worse." There were a few scratches in the wall, and some symbols that we thought were letters but we couldn't make them out. We instantly got the hell out of there, because we were shitting bricks at this point. It was a fairly prestigious school, so expulsion was probably the scariest thing that could happen to us. Nonetheless, we never ventured to that room again. Number 4. There was some construction being done at a new building at my university. So one day, my buddy and I meet some nice girls at the bar, and as the evening gets late, they ask to smoke a joint with us. For whatever reason, we decide the new construction site is a great location for this, and we go to it. 15 minutes in, and my buddy lets me know that there are cops watching us and that it's time to dip. We start to casually walk away, when the girls decide to book it immediately, drawing sirens. My friend taps me on the shoulder and reminds me that chivalry is dead. Those girls are on their own, and he has a spot to hide. He takes me to a half-constructed elevator shaft for the new building, and we climb all the way down to the bottom, where we find an underground, massive network of tunnels. When I say massive, I mean multiple channels each, which are multiple kilometers long. At this point we're pretty drunk, and we decide to see how far this thing goes. Every 500 meters or so, there would be a wooden barrier, but a few quick flying body checks made short work of them, and we continued on our way. Eventually we found a ladder and a hatch and decide that we'd come too far to not see what's up there. So we climb and go through and find ourselves in a locked room in the middle of our university library, about 1 kilometer and a bit from where we started. A janitor walks in and catches us clearly doing something we weren't supposed to be doing. But I pulled my best Seymour Skinner impression and said that we were just trying to find how to get out of there. Thankfully, he bought it, or was too confused to figure out how we got into the locked room in the first place, and decided to let us leave without any further questions. We didn't find anything too exciting in the tunnels, a few empty beer bottles, and that's about it. But I made it home without a possession and or trespassing charge, so I will call it a win. When I was a senior in high school, I was sitting on my back porch with a friend, drinking and smoking cigarettes, when she suddenly got quiet. After a moment, she turned to me and asked, "Where does the window go?" I'd lived in the house for 5 years at this point, and had never noticed the extra window on the back of our house. Amazingly, neither had anyone else in the family. The backyard was pretty overgrown, and we almost never spent any time there. I determined pretty quickly that the window had to be located behind the wall of our bathroom shower, but it was locked from the inside and seemed to be nailed shut as well. What could possibly be hidden inside that wall? Why would you seal up a window from the inside but leave it completely accessible from the back of the house? It didn't make any sense. This naturally became a topic of intense speculation for me and my friends. There must be a body, a cache of old documents, or pirate gold back there. But alas, we couldn't get inside without breaking the window, and I wasn't going to vandalize my own house to satisfy my curiosity. 10 years later though, the house was in serious need of renovations, to include a complete remodel of the hall bathroom. And I finally got my chance. Time had done nothing but sharpen my curiosity about the mysterious sealed window, and as I knocked down the tiles and broke through the dry wall, 1,000 possibilities raced through my mind. Jimmy Hoffa could be hidden back there, or an original copy of the Declaration of Independence, or quite possibly the Holy Grail itself. Barely able to contain my excitement, I ripped down a huge chunk of the wall, with nothing but my gloved hand, finally revealing the long-forgotten window and a bunch of mouldy pink insulation. Some mysteries are best left unsolved.